Lewis,
Yep.
we're on. Oh, he's got all shy. How are you doing?
I'm good.
This is the World's Strongest Barber.
Hit me up.
Give us a little intro into the camera. That's what the guests do at the start.
My name's Lewis, aka the World's Strongest Barber, and I'm popping my podcast cherry down at the Woodshed Productions, and yeah, let's talk about some stuff. Talk about my life. Talk about Strongman. Just see where the conversation goes.
Very nice. Thank you for that, Lewis. Just a reminder, try and keep it a bit close to your mouth throughout. But yeah, as you said, Strongman.
Yeah.
You don't get World's Strongest Barber from nowhere, do you? So tell us, Strongman, how did you get into it?
Met a guy, was introduced to a guy called Aaron Page, who was a professional strongman. I was training out of a commercial gym, lifting some good weights for a commercial gym, strongest in there by far, so I sort of stood out, and I looked like a bit of a dick, to be fair, because every time I went in there I was always lifting heavy, trying to show off. Wasn't actually achieving much, wasn't actually developing like any skills or any strength. I was just ruining my CNS, ruining my muscle fibers, thinking that was a way to train. So I guess the ego side of lifting got the better of me, and I sort of fell out of love with it for a bit.
So when you say ruin like your muscle fibers, like explain that to us. What is it? Just
so you're hitting these, you're hitting your heavy sets constantly, week in, week out. You see it on Instagram all the time. People are training heavy all the time, and these muscle fibers take 7 days minimum to reattach some of them. So if you're hitting it twice a week, you're just damaging the same fibers over and over, and that's how you get someone who can train for 2 years and look exactly the same, because they're not resting, they're not doing periodization or programming effectively, or taking deloads or rests, hypertrophy into strength, certain phases of lifting. And I'm definitely not a specialist on the subject, and I definitely won't claim to be, but I definitely now know how to train properly, rather than just going in, attacking it, doing chest twice a week, doing arms twice a week. That's why people don't make progress. So,
sure.
And then you add in all the other things like your diet, supplements, etc. So, it's a big world. It's a saturated market. I'm glad I'm not involved in that side of it. I'm glad I just lift, have fun, and enjoy, and let my coach take care of all the technical stuff. So,
yeah, nice. So, was Strongman something that you felt that you were going to go into, or is it just something you fell into?
Do you know what? It's weird, because I've never missed a Strongman TV show ever since I was a kid. Used to watch it with my dad. Used to watch it all the time. Watched every repeat going. I mentioned to you before the camera was on that I'm obsessed with it. I've always watched it, and that's always been the case. I think it was just more amazement and like in awe of these men. That these men actually exist. It's quite weird saying it now, because in the next couple of years, hopefully, I'll be one of those men. But yeah, to think that men were that strong and lifting like household objects and cars and all the amazing stuff you see on TV. I now understand the biomechanics behind it, and the angles and the certain things that look fancy for TV. Don't get me wrong, everything's really heavy, but there's obviously a lot of technique involved. And yeah, so I think it was more fascination, and then never knew that I'd be in Strongman, never knew that I'd be doing well in the early stages of the Strongman career. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird concept when I look back now.
I remember watching Strongmen with like TV channels. They normally did like a repeat on Dave every now and again and that sort of stuff. I remember just watching them when I was younger thinking, Jesus Christ, this looks mental. But it's just something I'd always watch when it was on. It's just like an easy watch, isn't it? And everything they do is impressive.
You can stick it on when the family around. Christmas TV contracts, I think they've still got the same contracts now that they've had for 30 to 50 years. Really? So that's why it's always shown at Christmas. It's all pre-recorded. All the family around, everyone's off work. They always get the prime time slot. So you're bound to have watched Strongman at some point. Even like you know, with my work, people speak to me about how they've watched Strongman. They say, "Oh, the big concrete ball things," or like they just explain the events in what they perceive.
Yeah.
So it's quite funny, some of it. So yeah, I think everyone's seen or heard of it, especially now, the modern day we live in.
Oh, definitely.
Social media, obviously Eddie Hall, what he's done for the sport and the exposure, some of the big shows, the Giants Live, the stadium tours with Ultimate Strongman. Everyone's seen something now, so
it's one of those sports that you, even if you've never seen it before, you can enjoy it because
absolutely
you can relate to someone trying to lift something heavy.
Yeah,
it's just
everyone knows what a car looks like and how much it weighs.
Exactly.
And, people deadlifting cars, yeah,
it's just nuts.
So yeah, it's quite funny. And when they use like the natural stones, even to this point now, I'm fascinated by the natural stones, because how many people have, you know, tried to lift a heavy rock that they've seen on like a walk or down the seaside or something like that.
I don't think people realise how heavy those natural stones are,
Yeah.
because they don't look too big on the camera, do they?
No, some of them are stupid.
Like compared to some of the objects that they're moving on TV, and then it goes to just a stone, and and then you see the struggle in their face.
Yeah.
Like, we've got like some construction work going on, and I picked up just a small one, like literally the size of a football. I was like, fucking hell.
Yeah, some of them are, they're probably between 130 and 200 kilos dead weight.
Yeah, that's nuts.
So
And it's awkward as well to lift.
Awkward. That's why the natural side compared to the Atlas stone, you've got your tacky and stuff. Sometimes I don't let you use tacky. You just get chalk, and you've got to find a nice hold point. So that's the hard bit. And they're always usually at the end of the day as well. So
you're pumped out all the lactic
absolutely
acid.
ruined. Yeah.
Do you do any sort of like rock climbing grip training?
Do grip work.
Stuff like that?
I won't give too much away, but we do grip work probably after most sessions.
Yeah.
So yeah, working hard on grip. You can be as strong as you want for your arms and shoulders and back and whatever. If your hands give up, it's pointless. So a lot of people, like, there's some people in top level strongman that have got phenomenal grip that do very well on certain events because of their grip. They're not necessarily the strongest men in the world. They're obviously one of. But yeah, their grip never fails them. So yeah.
No, nice. It's would Mark Felix be one with mad grip strength?
Mark Felix is obviously one of the most famous strongmen of all time.
Yeah.
He's got the largest hands of all time.
Oh, has he?
Yeah. So so someone like Mark Felix, if you've got an axle bar or something that's, you know, like 2 inches, 3 inches thick, he can almost wrap his thumbs round or wrap his hand round twice. So he's at a much greater advantage in a grip event.
Yeah, those videos going around on TikTok, I always crease up when I see him, because he's just like, there's just no emotion in him, and everyone else is dying around him holding stuff.
Yeah, he's got obviously bigger hands. He can lock himself in better. So yeah, that's why.
Have you ever used like one of those power balls to train grip? Have you seen those?
No.
It's like a gyroscopic. It's like just a gyroscope inside like a plastic housing.
Yeah.
And then you get it rotating like that, and the faster you go, the more weight it puts on your wrist.
No, I haven't seen
I've used that for stuff like tendonitis, but apparently it's used by like quite high level jiu-jitsu practitioners, sort of stuff, to improve their grip strength.
At Rob's gym in Fareham, they've got a gripnasium side.
Oh, have they?
So they've got all the...
He's into all his arm wrestling and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so they're working on it constantly. So I've had a little go with some of the rolling thunders and the...
What's a rolling thunder?
It's sort of like something that twists as you pick it up.
Oh,
so
okay.
it rolls out of your hand.
Yeah.
And other variations on grip and like finger strength and this part of your hand, because this is the first part of your grip that opens.
Oh, okay.
So you work on this bit, closing your hand. So we do a lot of that stuff. So we'll see if it pays off.
Yeah, very nice. So it's a good route into talking about how you met Rob, because I met Rob through yourself when I came and did my first video of you, but you'd obviously built a relationship beforehand. How did that get started?
Rob's a constant face in the circuit. He's head referee at most of the qualifiers, and definitely the Southern qualifiers. Obviously a very well-known strongman. If you've ever watched Strongman, you would have seen him on TV. A World's Strongest Man athlete, Britain's Strongest Man athlete. So, you know, Rob Frampton was a name that rang bells across the whole of the South. So I've known of him, and I've met him multiple times before being involved with him on a coaching client relationship. So yeah, he's definitely a a super knowledgeable person in the sport, very well connected. So yeah, I met him at a qualifier event. It's my first qualifier event after Aaron died, and it wasn't my best performance. And I reached out to him and, you know, sort of to see if he would see anything that I could improve on, and sort of the conversation got a lot bigger from there. And I asked him if he was taking on clients, and that was it. Yeah, it's the best decision I ever made.
Have you seen like a natural spike from starting with him to the drive and performance you've seen?
Absolutely, yeah.
Really?
My mindset is the most powerful it's ever been, and that counts for a lot. When you're doing strength sport, your brain will give up before your body most of the time. So I've tapped into that extra capacity of my brain. Done a lot of stuff like that with him. You know, switch on, switch off, when to put it on, when to turn it off. But yeah, obviously England's Strongest Man was with him. You know, I was coached by him. And
congrats on that as well.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Third place.
Yeah, good.
Very good from the notice that you had.
Yeah, 10-day notice. Got the call. Wasn't in any fit state to compete. My piriformis was completely fucked on my left-hand side. So I'd done that on a deadlift about 2 weeks before I got the call. It's like a little part of the back that enables your hips to...
You just read my mind.
Yeah. So,
I was going to ask that.
Yeah, and a lot of it runs... a certain percentage of people, it runs past or through your sciatic nerve.
Okay.
So as it inflames, it gives you a full sciatic feeling up to your knee. So
what's that feeling like, a sciatic feeling?
Brutal, yeah. Sciatic nerves.
Is it like a burning feeling, or...?
It's constant, like, you know, like a trapped nerve.
Yeah.
Constantly. So yeah, a lot of codeine, a lot of tablets, a lot of numbing cream, and I just went for it, give it everything. I left everything at England's Strongest Man that I could give that day. And to get a podium spot showed me that with the right prep, the right mindset, the right diet, that I can be a top level strongman in England. So,
well, these guys you're competing against, I'm assuming they're training all year for that event.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I was a wild card, so I was brought in because a couple of people had been injured, and my qualifier spot was, I think, 6th or something like that. So, you know, I was brought in because of, unfortunately, a few people have been injured. So opportunity favours all. So I took it with both hands. And when I loaded that final stone, to this date was the best feeling that I've ever felt.
Yeah?
So, yeah.
I mean, looking through the little clips you sent me, because I did a little edit with them.
Yeah.
Your reaction to lifting that stone, it gives me goosebumps watching it, really, because it's like, it's just pure emotion.
Absolutely. Yeah, none of it was staged or scripted. It was the first time I've been involved in a ultimate show like that as well. And yeah, it was just elation. And I let a lot out. I had a lot going on personally that affected me mentally. And I guess it was just proving that I could achieve something.
Was that like a 50-50 you decided to go to that? Was there a part of you that was like, nah, not
Yeah,
really?
So I took the phone call. I didn't say yes on the phone. I put the phone down and I phoned Rob and I said, you know, this opportunity has happened. I'm not ready. And Rob just said, look, we've got 10 days. Let's say yes and let's just give it everything we've got. And yeah, it was the best advice he'd given. So the momentum that come from that, you know, pushing me forward was incredible. Like my training changed, everything changed. So I started eating, shitting and sleeping strongman from that point.
It's nice to see, because since that point in time, like you said, everyone can see that your momentum's built up.
Yeah.
And sometimes people just need that one thing to make them realise, well, this is feasible, and then a new beast is unlocked.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you feel like that's happened with you?
Yes, it's no disrespect to the competitors above me that were above me that day, but I wasn't far behind. There was like a rep here or there, or a couple of seconds on this, and I had no prep. And I thought, you know, these guys are one of them is someone that I've watched on TV for the last like few years, and I thought I'm not that far behind. And I won't take anything away from his win, but I'm coming in like different level this year.
It's coming in hot.
Yeah, definitely. It's gonna be like a totally different animal.
Can you reveal too much about your expectations with UKs, or are you going in with just an open mind and you're enjoying just being there? Or
No, I'm not there to make up numbers.
Okay,
I'm going for a podium spot.
Nice.
It's manifestation, belief, drive, the people I'm training with, the numbers I'm hitting, the way I'm feeling in every lift, my recovery, fitness. Different. Everything's different. I'm not there to make up numbers. I'm there to ruin people's days. So
like that. Yeah, very good. Very good. What is your exercise? Because I've seen you like log a lot, don't you?
Log's great. One of my faves. Do you know what? I'm starting to, since training with the training partner that I'm with and doing it properly, I'm starting to enjoy every event. I look forward to it.
That's good.
Atlas stones, getting tackied up. Everyone who does strongman would know how much of a ball ache stones are. Even to do them every week is a ball ache. But I'm looking forward to everything. I'm looking forward to the pain. I'm looking forward to the discomfort that certain events bring to you, and some of the loading races that we do when your lungs feel like they're going to burst. Like, I'm loving it. Every single minute of it.
Oh, that's great. That's a huge advantage to it, because I'm sure there are people that have been around the circuit a few times that definitely have the things they don't look forward to.
Yeah.
So if you can make up those margins in those areas, then you're going to be sort of...
One thing I learnt from Rob was you're only as strong as your weakest event.
Very true.
So why go to a five event show or a 12 event show, be great at a few of them and be awful at some of them? So, you mentioned grip. Grip was something that I had to work on. Yoke, something that I had to work on. There's certain events that are going to come up.
What's yoke?
It's a frame that goes around you sort of squat it into position.
Okay.
And then move with it like a big A frame.
Yeah.
So these things are like at World's Strongest Man, they're like 550 now, 550 kilos.
Really?
And that's mental. And you see how fast some of them run with it. So
have there been any major injuries in a competition?
Always
with stuff
major
like that?
injuries, yeah, of course. But try not to think about the injuries. But yoke is probably one of the most injury-prone events that there are. But,
so much weight.
But if you do it properly, if you keep every rep the same, every stride, every step, keep your head up, keep yourself tight, keep everything the same, it's less possibility for something to go wrong.
I suppose same with all the exercises,
Exactly,
isn't it? Really? It's one of those things where if you're not used to the movement, then you shouldn't even be going anywhere near them. So I'm sure you started way below that.
Absolutely, start empty.
Yeah, there you go.
Technique is the part of the events that a lot of people miss. They just grip and rip, or explode out of a lift, or rip it off the floor, rag it around, and then they end up tearing something. So technique's everything, and you use efficient, proper technique, and it doesn't matter what the weight is, because the bar should move the same.
Recovery wise, for the training you do, is it just as important as the actual work itself?
Yeah, recovery. Without recovery, you wouldn't develop and grow. You wouldn't get over the shock or the damage that you've put your body through. Recovery can be more important than the actual breakdown of what you're actually doing. So without it, it wouldn't work. They work in unison though, side by side. You can be the best trainer in the world, but if you don't recognize when you need to stop or when you need to put things down and recover, eat, sleep, rest, hot and cold, whatever you're doing, then you're not going to go very far.
Was it a big part? Did you know much about it before you started getting seriously into strongman? Like, for instance, because you've been an athletic person all your life, really, haven't you?
Absolutely. It's different, I guess, when you get a bit older, and when you get larger. Putting on weight most weeks, so recovery becomes more important. Obviously, barbering, standing up all the time. But I didn't know too much about I knew recovery was important, but I didn't know the superior benefits to getting your recovery as efficient as your training. So you have to treat it like clockwork, really. It has to be implemented in your daily routine.
Nice. Do you do things like cold plunges, that sort of
Yeah,
stuff?
hot and cold. Cryo chambers and
I've seen a video on that actually.
yeah.
What was a cryo chamber like? Because in my head it's like, how are you even blinking? Do your eyeballs not freeze?
No. Cryo chamber is a posh man's ice bath.
Okay.
No, it's not. It's alright. I prefer ice baths, but to be in a minus 120 chamber,
So you can't really reenact that, can you?
it's exactly what it says on the tin. Yeah, it's very cold. You do start frosting up. You can only stay in there for 3 minutes.
Oh, 3 minutes ago.
I think that's like part of the insurance or something. Hypothermia starts to set in.
Sure.
But yeah, you can't beat a good bit of cold water, about 5 degrees.
I love going from hot to freezing cold.
Yeah.
Like that feeling of can't stand in here any longer, like in a sauna, and then just hopping in an outside pool. It's like that rush to all the nerves. It's just I can't really replicate it.
It's a big endorphin release, isn't it? Getting that new blood up through the muscles and
Does it do that? Okay.
yeah, pushes everything through. So all that waste product, that lactic acid and stuff like that, gets it moving.
So it pushes that out, and then the fresh blood in to repair the
Comes
muscles.
in, yeah, oxygenated
Okay.
blood flow, yeah.
I never knew that.
And it's good for mental strength as well, because it teaches you to deal with immediate stress
Yeah, nice.
and coping mechanisms and breathing and stuff like that. So there's loads behind it.
Yeah, nice. Young baller over on the sofa. I never knew this about you.
Well, the football.
Yeah, until we bumped into each other in Sainsbury's and you just started talking about it.
Yeah. So,
I just casually went across to do some like Youth World Cup stuff.
yeah, so Gothia World Cup, Sweden, Eastleigh Football Club, Sholin Football Club.
How old were you when you started playing football?
I've always played football.
You've always played football.
Ever since, I think the first thing I ever did when I walked was kick a football.
Yeah?
I was obsessed. Absolutely love football, everything about it. Used to watch the games, Champions League, and then go out in the garden and pretend I was doing the whole game. So I used to reenact, like through balls to Michael Owen, or like David Beckham free kicks, and like Ruud van Nistelrooy was like the box specialist. Yeah, I was obsessed with football. It was everything. I used to sleep with a football.
Did you?
Yeah.
I used to. Whenever I got a new football, I'd just be in the bed.
Take it in the bed, dirty knees, boots still on. Mum used to go mad because I'm bringing grass through the house.
Or when you buy a new pair of boots and it's just they sit at the end of your bed waiting until Sunday
just
morning.
waiting. Yeah, I loved it. I was extremely hyperactive and athletic. Fit as a butcher's dog. Could outrun anyone. Could almost gone into anything. Athletics, long distance, sprints. But yeah, football just dominated.
That's the same for like most athletes in sports, isn't it? Like if you took an NFL player and chucked him in a football training camp for a year,
Exactly.
he's probably going to be pretty good.
Everyone's got a natural flair.
Sure.
Who's involved in sport. That's how the greats are discovered, right? Some people have a natural flair for designing and building websites or computers or understanding maps or geography, or layout of historical buildings. Like, some people are great at other things. Some people are great at sport. And I can turn my hand to any sport. Even now, I could still hop in an 11-a-side game and tear it up.
Yeah, nice. We'll have to see like a little 5-a-side maybe with the Strongman competitors from this year. So that would be pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool. There'd be a few torn ligaments going on, wouldn't there?
Yeah, definitely.
So, Achilles heels. So yeah, football was great. Truly believed I was going to become a professional footballer.
Well, you were closer than most to it, weren't you?
Closer than most. Had a little taste.
What level did you reach at then? What is that known as?
Semi-pro, paid.
Semi-pro.
Pre-pro contract, like youth side. So before 18, obviously.
Would that have been the next step going?
Yeah, yeah. I believe I could have been a good League One or Championship footballer at one point. I had all the ability and all the attributes, but I just didn't have the what's it called? The commitment from people around me. Getting to games was tough. There's loads of us in the house. My mum couldn't do it all. My dad was absent for some of it, and then he was back in. So he used to take me to games when he could. I used to hitch a ride with like my friends. yeah, training, getting to training, like everything was tough. It all cost money as well. You're signing on fees, you know, your subs and stuff when you're going to training. That was tough. You know, I know it's only a few quid, but at the time, it was a lot.
When you were growing up, was limitations regarding cost of things? Was that a big?
Yeah,
was that
because
a big thing?
there were so many of us in my family.
How many in your family? If you don't mind me asking.
There's 6 of us that were living in the house, growing up, and I've got an older brother and sister as well, so that's 8 in total. And we all, obviously, everyone has to have the same. You know, it's a family structure. No one gets treated any different. So if I wanted a new pair of football boots, it would mean that others had to have the same money spent on them, which is a fair dynamic. So yeah, that was the toughest bit. So I used to wait for hand-me-downs from my older brother and stuff. So
very nice. Did you score any wonder goals in some hand-me-down boots?
I scored a lot of wonder goals, actually. There might be people watching this thinking, nah, he's bullshit. Yeah, a couple of great over volleys. Ball comes over the shoulder.
Oh yeah,
just
very
hit
nice,
it first time.
Van Persie-esque.
Some super jinking runs.
Yeah.
Ball over the top was my favourite. Love spinning the defender and leaving him flat-footed. That's what I was good at. Running, chasing,
sure,
like Tevez sort of style.
Yeah, sure, like relentless, just work
constant.
Ethic. Yeah,
I'd be like box to box, and then I'd have people moaning at me because I was in the left back position, and I'd follow a man the whole way down the pitch, track him down. He'd beat me to a header 10 minutes before. I'm like, nah, that's it, you're having it.
I think, what is this nutcase coming after?
But then I'd be back at the top for the ball over the top.
Nice.
So yeah, it was good. I sort of just some clubs that I played for just left me to it.
Yeah, fair enough.
And then when I got more higher up, they told me to sort of my part of the field, my part of the pitch.
Where was that?
You know, stay at centre forward.
Centre forward, yeah.
Ball to feet or on the spin. And then I used to start tracking back, and they're like, Lewis, get back up top.
It's where I never used to play anywhere near your level. I used to play some Sunday league. The gap that I've had since stopped playing that to watching it now and then having a kick about with my mates.
Yeah.
I didn't realise how much knowledge there is into like your football positioning, as in like how much you need to know. Because I went and played did some 11-a-side training, and I just found myself ball watching and just wasting energy, fucking running all over the place. I don't even know where I'm meant to be anymore. It's
a big pitch. You know, if you cut it into 11 pieces for you to work on your zone, the ball will come to you if you're playing with good enough players. You have to respect that you're playing with people at the same level as you.
Sure.
And stop thinking that you're a superstar.
Yeah.
That's normally what happens, because I'm quite an individual person. So, you know, that's why Strongman's suited for me, because it's you doing it. But when you're on a pitch with 10 other people, you have to rely on them to do their bit. And it's not, you're not meant to disrespect your defenders by being out of position, or your midfielders by trying to follow a man into the midfield. So I think the discipline side of it is something that I struggled with a little bit. I always thought that I was like the best on the pitch. So.
Sure. Is that a struggle you've carried through everything you've done?
Yeah, of course. Discipline.
Sure.
Which leads you down many paths, but yeah, struggling with discipline and struggling with authority would have been a big one for me.
Sure. Is that what played into you ceasing your career in football?
Yes. There's a blunt answer. I come back from, where was I? I think I come back from playing away. I can't remember. No, it might have been. Have been pre-season Shoalin Football Club? Yeah, it would have been. I was going back to Shoalin Football Club, who are a great club in Southampton. Pre-season, it was hot, and then I would have gone out that weekend. Yeah.
And that's where it
all changed.
It all changed. Is that something you're comfortable talking about?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I was out for a night of drinking, trying to catch up because I'd been at football training, so I got straight home. I remember my mum saying to me, you know, be careful. You know, there's a lot of people around. It was like a drinking festival, and she said, "Stay out of trouble, please stay out of trouble," because I was known for being in trouble, as we'll talk about, but just went out with a different head. Wasn't who I Wasn't who I was meant to be that night. Was looking around, was constantly challenging people, got pretty drunk at one point. Somehow made it all the way through to the end of the night. I don't know how. And then got involved in a really serious fight with a few people, which, yeah, one of them was really bad. And that was it. Was arrested on the scene. And that was the last time my feet touched the ground till about, what was I, 24, 25? So, yeah.
How old were you when
that
night took place?
I got sentenced at 18, so...
18?
Yeah, so I was just before, yeah.
Bloody hell. That's a big chunk of your life.
Yeah.
And you'd arguably say quite an important one.
Yeah, massive. The development of a teenager is not meant to happen in prison. It's not a developing environment. You don't learn anything. You don't learn anything about healthy relationships with a man or a woman. Being around that environment, it's a concentrated, intense environment. So all you're learning is how to be intense. Obviously, the violence in there is tenfold compared to what anyone in normal life is used to. You can get away with a lot more as well, so you sort of become comfortable in that environment. Just learning how to carry myself in an environment that I didn't know that I was built for, which I ended up doing very well in. Showed me that the body and the mind that I was born with was far greater than most people around me, so I was unbreakable. And I use that in my training today. I use that in my competing. Yeah.
Would it be safe to say that if you never went there, you wouldn't be doing strongman today?
Absolutely, yeah. Everything happens for a reason. I believe stepping stones and, taking a step here will lead you to there. You can turn left or right at any point in your life. You can choose to drink. You can choose to take drugs. You can choose to drive fast. You can choose to kill someone. Everything happens from point A. And if you look right, you might end up in 10 years down, you might end up somewhere else. You might end up working in Sainsbury's or a factory, or you might regret your decision, or you could turn left and you end up serving a catastrophic prison sentence. So
what was like the first sort of survival instincts that kicked in when you ended up getting locked up? Is it something that just came instantly, or is it you had to really put your feelers out and be careful and learn the ways of the...
Yeah, you've got the prison structure as a like from a political point of view, it's all about respect.
Okay.
Talking to people the right way. When you're at work or you're out and about and someone talks to you in a funny tone and you're like, I don't like the way they spoke to me.
Sure.
Or you're trying to disrespect me. You can't do that in prison.
It doesn't work.
It happens straight away.
Right.
It will be 100% a fight there and then. So you have to learn how to talk to people. It kind of teaches you how to treat people. It's quite a wild environment. There's a lot of drug users, people coming off of drugs, people desperate, dependent. There's a lot of people that have extreme violent tendencies to themselves and others. There's a lot of mental health where people shouldn't even be in prison. They should be in secure units and mental health hospitals. It's a big fucked up pot of people, and there's some great people. I've met a lot of great people. I still speak to them most days of my life now. It's a really weird environment. I guess the first thought of survival for me was hunger.
That's something I've never heard anyone say when they talk about...
I was so hungry, starving.
Really?
Yeah, I remember the food is absolutely diabolical, as you can imagine. It's not called slop for nothing.
So that's actually what it's called in prison, just slop?
Well, slop was more of a before the assessments were done of like human rights and all that shit. But some of the prisons I've been in were catastrophic. Just feeling that hunger when that door closes on a Friday afternoon at 5 o'clock and you're locked up till Sunday. You're only let out for about 45 minutes over the weekend. and you haven't got food, you haven't got a hustle, you haven't got any extra food.
So you get locked up on a Friday, and then
So Friday bang up after Muslim prayers, everyone will be locked up for regime. Friday bang up is called, and then you might get a gym session on a Saturday if the gym officers are in, and then that's it. Yeah, Sunday's lockdown. You come out for your food. That's it. Depends where you are, obviously.
Sure.
But yeah, you get used to it, obviously.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. But it's just so like
bang up. Yeah, that's it.
I'm lost for words. I just thought that you get your meals each day, that sort of stuff. But Friday to Sunday.
Friday bang up, mate. Yeah, it's quite well known in certain category prisons.
Okay.
I think weekends are when it goes off.
Oh, is that the reasoning for it then?
Not the reason, but also you got staffing issues as well. It's a big problem in the UK prisons, staffing issues, inexperienced staff, people not willing to work weekends. You can only unlock a certain ratio of prisoners to staff. So, you've got all the, that side of things. The logistics side doesn't work out when you've got 120 men on a wing and you've only got 2 staff. You can't just start letting people out. And also they probably trialled it at some point where they letting people out for phone calls to call home or whatever, and people take the piss.
Yeah.
Or people get stabbed or have fights, and then they think, do you know what? We're not going to do that again.
Worth it, is it?
So it ruins it for everyone.
Yeah.
The regime is tough to get used to. Constantly being told to get behind your door, constantly being told, that's it, bang up. And you're like, hang on a minute, I haven't got on the phone yet. And a lot of tensions would be up. You're trying to call home, you're trying to call your girlfriend. So that caused I'd say the most fights I've seen would be over the use of phones or the use of showers. Everyone wants a shower, especially when the summer comes in and it's sweaty and you're sharing a cell with someone and, it's a bit pongy. So, yeah, you just want your time, don't you?
Yeah, just like in everyday life, you just want your time.
You've already ruined the chance of having luxuries in life, so the basics should be there, but sometimes they're not, and you just got to make do, and you got to have what's called a bird bath, which is washing in your sink in your cell. So yeah, it's got to make do, adapt, overcome.
Are there sides to the prison system that your eyes have been opened up to since being with your partner?
Yeah, I guess so. I see a lot of there's a way people are treated outside of prison, probation system, the people management, the neglect, the decisions are made before you even get a chance to tell your side of the story. It's a shithole, really, to be fair. They could do so much more with it. Utilise people's problems and efforts and energy, rather than just putting them in a halfway house that's full of crackheads and sex offenders or whatever. They're putting people in places because there's nowhere else for them to go. And chucking them back in prison. The recall system, which I've been accustomed to, is so short and sharp. Sending a person straight back to prison. They don't realise the damage that does to what you've built up since coming out. So
you say you've experienced that?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Parole recall, so immediate recall back to custody while they're investigating whatever was going on. So
can that just be just because they want to? Or?
Yeah, so there's a system that the probation use called MAPPA, which is Monitoring Agency for Public Protection. So if you're MAPPA, you're a dangerous person or high-level violence or whatever. So anyone on the MAPPA scheme will be recalled immediately if there's suspicion or complaints of a crime. So
I've learnt something new.
Yeah,
I've learnt something new. So coming to your time, or to the end of your time in prison.
Yeah.
Was there like a date that you knew you were getting out, or is it just like I'm near the end roundabouts, I could be let out any?
Yeah, so you get a fled date, which is something that you can work towards, set by the parole. It was different for me because I did RDRs, or ROTL, recommended day release. So that basically is a slow, steady introduction into civilization, so you can build up your social ties, your job links or connections, housing opportunities. So that's what RDRs are for. everyone's heard of day release if they've watched films and stuff. It's the most effective and safe way to release people, because you can't expect someone to do a 10-year sentence and then just let them out the gate.
No.
It doesn't work. And everyone have mixed opinions on this, because they'll be like, oh, you can't just let these people out to work, volunteer in Timson's or Sainsbury's and do these jobs. But what else are you going to do with them after they haven't had that slow exposure? You can't just let people out, especially people that some people have done a long time, like 18 years, 20 years. They need an opportunity to give back to society. So
no, definitely. It's when even seeing how youngsters nowadays go from having a school routine to not.
Exactly.
And then multiply that by whatever figure you want to give it, because I can't think of a figure to get to what prison's like. Yeah. And then you come out of there and you're just lost, I guess. And it's
funny you say that, because the school system that we're raised on is exactly the same structure as what prisons is.
Is it?
Yeah. So you have I'll talk people through it. You have people go to prison, people go to school. It's mandatory. Obviously, if you've committed a crime, you go to prison. Education is mandatory. Physical education, PE, is mandatory. There's a gate a fence around the outside to stop people getting in and stop people getting out. There's a register that's done multiple times a day to make sure everyone's in. There's a hierarchy in the staffing system. Everyone eats off the same hot plate. You have set homework or things to do. So in prison, that's called cell packs. You'd have education to do it in your cell. There's a disciplinary structure. Literally, you could carry on and carry. Everyone wears the same.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same structure.
Uncanny.
And the ratio of teachers, I think it's 15 or 16 to 1 to pupils.
Is it?
Exactly the same as inside.
It's crazy when you think about it.
There's a detention system. There's the book where they write bad comments.
Yeah,
exactly the same as prison.
Really?
So everything's the same, and they wonder why, these youngsters, including myself, it's a conditioned mindset. So when you go to prison, you feel quite comfortable, because you're like, bloody hell, apart from not being able to have sex with a girl or go out with your mates or pop to the shop, there's not much different. So
it's something that I was thinking about recently regarding how schools function nowadays is like, in my mind, what I learned from school was the fact that I can have confidence in myself to be able to learn something new.
Yeah.
Because you always hear the people, like kids at school, saying, when am I going to use Pythagoras' theorem and all that sort of stuff? And yeah, no, fair enough, you may never use it, but at least you know that you can start something that you have no idea about, and then in like a couple of weeks' time, you're going to be fairly decent.
3-4-5 method, Pythagoras.
What's 3-4-5?
To get a right angle.
Go on.
So in carpentry,
yeah,
if you measure out 300 mil by 400 mil, the diagonal is 500, so it should be a perfect right angle. So I took that from school.
There you go.
Yeah.
What I was getting at was, there are a certain amount of people or children that don't do well at academic subjects.
Yeah.
And if they go through their whole school life only being offered academic subjects, they never get the chance to realise themselves that they can start from nothing and build their way up to something in a subject. It just needs to be one that applies to you.
Yeah, so, we're taught all this stuff at school. And we were speaking about this at work the other day, because, people are applying for mortgages and there's interest rates and all this sort of stuff. Why are you not shown at school, especially towards the later part of your school career, what an interest rate is, how to work out, mortgage in principle,
Definitely.
or, a loan or borrowing or repayment? It's because they need everyone. If you imagine if everyone was educated in those departments, there wouldn't be such thing as debt and borrowing, and everyone would be on a property ladder, so the market would be different. So why would they teach us youngsters that want houses and want to do well in life? Why would they teach you how to do that when they need you to kind of fail? You have to be dependent on the government in order to get through life. Like, you have to borrow things, right? No one's just comes out and like, oh, what you got to do is get a credit card, spend a little bit, build up your credit rating. Ain't no 18-year-old doing that. Well, not many.
They wouldn't know unless they went looking for that information.
So why don't they teach you that at school? There's a reason for that.
As well, I don't think I've ever heard the term UTR number through my whole school or college
And
time.
it's one of the first things you use when you get an apprenticeship or a job.
Exactly.
Unique tax number, yeah.
Yeah.
So why are you not taught that?
It's
Because
the
they don't want
basic
you
tools to get someone to an independent point, and they obviously don't want that.
Or why don't you do like how to call up your gas bill, how to call up and set up a direct debit. You know, I remember trying to do that. Obviously, it was when I came out of prison. I remember trying to do that and be like, wow, this is so difficult. Because I'd never been shown. Council tax, all the shit that goes with it. Like, why is this not taught to kids? Because it's serious, valuable life lessons. And that causes, I'd say debt and stress is one of the most damaging effects of today. You know, people being in debt, it gets depression, it triggers anxiety. So why is it not taught? It's because they need it.
Yeah, that's how they keep a grip on you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, those basic bits of information can avoid all of this.
They can save your life. They can make someone, you know, people like the greats of our generation, like that do really well, go on to start businesses, and you know, they've got it right because they've gone against the grain. That's all you've got to do. Just go against the grain. Sometimes just turn around and walk the other way. People will go, where are you going? We're all going this way. And you'll be like, yeah, I know, that's why I'm going this way. And then you end up with Elon Musk or whoever invented Twitter or Snapchat or Instagram, or, you know, these clever people. You follow everyone's, what do? You go to school, you go to college, you go to uni, you come out, you're in debt, you get some shit ass job that doesn't pay more than 24 grand a year. And then you're out pissing it up on the weekend.
Because that's your only enjoyment.
Exactly. So,
is there any pivotal moments in your life where you were like, yeah, just fucking turn around, walk the other way? Because I've got a few that I can remember.
There was obviously the time when I couldn't go the other way. I was already going against the grain, and I think for me to come out of prison and become successful, and in turn, I don't mean become a millionaire or anything like that, but I mean successful as in I'm happy who I am today. I'm happy with my life. I have a great life. I don't need a holiday to get away from it. I don't dread going to work. You know, all these different little things that I hear every day as a barber. Oh, thank God it's Friday, or oh, I can't be fucked, or my boss is this, or I don't have any of that. And why is that? I haven't done anything different. All I've done is apply my mental attitude towards what I enjoy doing. And I think people don't get a chance to chase what they want to do because they have to pay bills, they have to work their uni loan off, or whatever's in the way. I think if you just apply yourself differently, you'll become successful in your own right.
That's an interesting one, actually, because I haven't actually heard, thank God it's Friday, since I started doing this from anyone. Like, the people I work with do the similar thing to me, so they'll be in the same boat as us, doing our own stuff. But yeah, that is like the standard fucking bit of office spiel that you get given.
Thank God it's Friday.
Yeah.
Dress down Friday. Half day Friday.
There you go.
You know, the companies that have got all these people, like these minions, you know, people become. It's dress down Friday. You can wear a casual shirt to work and you can leave at 2:00. Like, oh, okay. And then they're already sending extra emails, doing extra work to try and get that Friday finished. So it actually creates a bigger work, a work drive. So why don't you put that work drive into doing your own business? Why do it for someone else? So you can get your £1,800 a month or £2,000 a month and be like, yeah, this is great. Why let someone else tell you how much you're worth an hour? Create it for yourself.
The biggest challenge for me going out of a 9-to-5 job where I was PAYE was accepting that I am worth more than what I was getting paid an hour there.
Yeah.
Because you get paid that an hour for so long, and the increment, the pay rise increments are so small, you're almost brainwashed to a certain point.
It's insulting.
It's insulting, yeah, but then it's like, it was insulting at first. Well, it's insulting to me now when I look back on it, but at the time it was just normal, and it was just, that's the way it's got to be.
I remember asking, as a barber, I was a manager at a barber shop, I remember asking for £1 an hour more, and the bloke turned around to me, and I won't say any names, but it's hilarious. He turned around to me and said, you should be lucky to be working with your past. You're on £10 an hour. And I was like, yeah, but I'm asking for £11 an hour. And he went, yeah, but you need to think yourself lucky, because no one else is giving you a job. Anyway, they're closed down. He drives a Vauxhall Zafira 2005 plate.
Yeah, too right.
They got investigated for tax. Just the way you treat people.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, the moral of that story is, if someone asked for a little bit more, I was bringing them £2,000 a week at that shop. So all I was asking for was £11 an hour. And then it clicked to me after speaking to a very intelligent client of mine who had business. He said, Lewis, why don't you skip the middleman and take us all with you? So
that's what he's done. Yeah, nice.
Just skip it. Why do I need to work Monday to Saturday for 60 hours or whatever it was, and then tap on the door and go, excuse me, can I be paid now?
Yeah.
Why don't I pay myself? And it's exactly what I did. So
that was the same sort of thought process as I was having before I made the leap to do my own thing. It was where I'd been involved in different businesses at a low level, but having a good relationship to be able to sort of mix with the higher ranking people in the companies. I just think, like, fucking hell, like, I could definitely do what you're doing.
Yeah.
And probably find my own way of doing it and be happier and possibly do it better. I don't know, but
you never know unless you try.
No, exactly.
Sometimes you have hard days.
You do.
I've had days where I've had no money. I've also had days where I've made more money than I did in a week. So all I've worked out is if I want those big days, I have to work hard. No one's going to come and give it to me. So
you might agree to this. I would rather have those hard days than the hard days when my boss is telling me I have all these deadlines to me, and I don't know if he's going to be pleased with the work standard that I've done it to, but it's because of a valid reason, but they don't care about it. Like, to me, I would rather have the hard day working for myself. It's such a different feeling, because there's no feeling of like helplessness, because you know that there is a way for you to get through it. But when it comes down to working for someone, you can almost get, as soon as you finish all that, you just get handed another load of stress. It's like there's no time for you to appreciate what you've done.
A big thing that people say, I hear a lot, is I need my job. You don't need it.
No.
You've made yourself need it because you've got no other means or source. Create that means or source. Become creative. Become driven. Become focused onto something else, and you'll soon realise that you weren't meant to be sat at the company you're sat at. People were like borrowing money left, right, and centre, getting themselves into more debt. The Christmas pressures, the birthday pressures, the social pressures of going out drinking. Before you know it, they're in shit, and all they look forward to is going out, getting pissed up, going out and like feeling like they're accepted. But I'd rather be recluse and away from all that, and then people watching me on TV on a Monday night. That's my drive.
Exactly. When you're a kid, you don't ever look at the people sat around the bar on a Wednesday afternoon and say, I want to be like them. It's always the people on the TV or the ones that are living the interesting lives.
Exactly. It was a epiphany moment. I think that's the right phrase to use. Yeah. I came out of prison and I was allowed to go and see family in the area that I used to live in. And I drove through my old town centre and I genuinely saw the same people doing the same shit. And I looked in through the pub windows, the same man sat on the same stool.
Really?
And I drove up towards where my stepdad's house is, and there was a woman that I used to see on my routine of whatever time of day it was, wearing the same coat. I know it sounds weird, but you remember things.
Yeah.
And people talking to me wearing the same trainers of what they exactly the same with holes in, and they're telling me that I did bad in my life or I messed my life up. You got probation officers and people that want to tell you that you made mistakes. They've been doing this for like 20 years, right? Catching the bus to the same fucking job, and they're telling you how to live your life. They forgot about their own. They're going to retire, right? They get a pension. What are you, 60 years old, 55 years old, whatever it is, So you got this pension. You can now enjoy your life, but you've just wasted 30, 40 years of it. So I always look at that and think, so many people cast judgment on other people and they forget about their own life. Before you know it, they're, old, grey, bold, depressed.
It makes me wonder, does our our drinking culture come from the fact that we have literally just been working for most of the week.
Yeah. You want to enjoy the weekend.
Yeah.
Come on, have a beer. It's Friday. Like, you know, come down the pub. Let's
There must
get
be
pissed
some
up.
like I remember I was walking around London a couple of weeks ago. Went to see one of my mates that lives out there now, and it was on a Thursday afternoon. The streets were filled. All like they don't sit inside in bars.
Yeah,
at
day
pubs. They
drinking in
stand
London.
outside. It was nuts. I've never
Yeah.
seen that many people out just getting pissed up.
And then how many stories do you see on social media, especially when the sun's out, of was only meant to be one, and it's just a picture of them holding a beer.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like that's where your night's gone.
Yeah,
Which
but
is fine if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, that's the important thing. If that's what you want to do, then
Crack on.
yeah, crack on. It's the people that don't want to do it, but then don't stop doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I hear you. When it came to your barbering, you decided to cut out the middleman. Was that relatively soon in your barbering career since you got out? Because you used to cut hair you started in prison, didn't you?
Cut hair in prison. Didn't know there was any money in it. I cut hair in prison for survival purposes, for more food. The currency is tuna and mackerel.
Okay.
So that went hand in hand with lifting weights. And I didn't know you could make money as a barber. In fact, I actually thought that it was quite quite a shit job, hairdressing and barbering, and I thought, no one wants to do that. Let's be a tradesman. So I grew up alongside playing football. I was always in my dad's carpentry workshop. I did a full carpentry apprenticeship, so I'm a carpenter by trade. So that was always the method of like money, a man's world. Go and build, go and do something, go and cut something down, go and knock something back up. So I thought that's how you made money. Don't get me wrong. Some of my friends have done very well. They've got their own businesses. But as a worker, a chippy, oh yeah, you can earn £150 a day doing this, which is great. Massive money. And then when I went to barber, the guy, I remember his name. I'm not going to say it, but I remember the company. And I remember him laughing at me when I said that I was going to be a barber instead, because he wouldn't pay me any more money. Similar story to the barbering story. And he laughed at me. He said, you go on and be a barber. Anyway, the guy's a raging alcoholic, lost all his family, had his Range Rover took off him, and he's in prison now for a GBH. Which is quite funny because he used to laugh at me for being ex-con. You know what I mean? Anyway, so tables have turned. That was a real
circle.
It's a funny story, that one. So I went on to be a barber. I used to see him on London Road with his purple blotchy face from drinking too much, and he used to ask me for a haircut probably once or twice a month.
Yeah.
And I would say, nah, I'm never going to give you a haircut. And then I saw him down probation. He was sat in the corner of probation. I walked in for one of my appointments, and I said, what are you doing here, Alan? And he went, I said, you're on a drink. You've done something with drinking, haven't you? And that was it. It was a great moment for me as a personal goal, a personal achievement. Like,
everyone's got that one person they'd like to have that sort of conversation.
He used to turn up in a building site that we were on, and he used to have this brown envelope full of cash that he'd taken off the client. He used to turn up in his Range Rover, and he used to point his finger like, telling us what to do. Then he used to go down the pub, piss it all up the wall, get on all the sniff, and what a great human. So he taught me a lot without trying to teach me. Taught me how ugly some people can be. So, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Alan.
Thank you, Alan.
Your time was served well.
Yeah.
You've had a few experiences with people that try and put you down, and then you're like, however many steps ahead of them. Like the news article, the guy that wrote the press release.
Yeah. So there was a. Do you want me to tell that story? I won't mention the restaurant because I'm not affiliated with them anymore.
Yeah, fair enough, yeah.
Yeah, a guy came in to write this. It was from the Daily Echo. It's not anything hidden, The Daily Echo wrote my story from going to prison. It was a bad write-up, whatever. Papers have got to sell. And the guy that came, it was 12 years later, I was introduced to him as the world's strongest barber. And we were going to do this write-up of how, this man comes out of prison and gets sponsored by this restaurant and does really well. And he was kind of a little bit late to the meeting. And I shook his hand, started talking. He was writing notes, told him my name, and he was like, Lewis Packham. I said, yeah. He went, I think it was me that wrote your whatever it's called, the spread. I was like, oh, bloody hell. Okay, well, should we carry on? He's like, to be honest, mate, I don't think it's going to be in any interest to show this in our paper. So he sort of like, he said that it wouldn't be an interest because they had already covered a bad story. So I was like, oh, okay, no worries. I was very polite. I said, before you leave, I'd just like to say something, if that's all right. He was like, yeah, of course. I said, am I right in thinking that you were late today? And he said, well, yeah, I was a few minutes late. I said, and you told me that you got the bus. He said, yeah. I said, from your mum's house? Well, yeah, I haven't moved out. I'm saving for a mortgage or whatever his excuse was. I said, so you're telling me that in 12 years, since you've been casting judgment on people like myself, you've been catching the same fucking bus with your mum ironing your shirt and you can't even make it on time to something like that's important for your job. I said, what does that show you about your life? And he looked at me sideways and I said, yeah. I said, your life has gone nowhere. Just remember that. I said, and you're going to see how far I'm going to go. So that was another personal moment for me. Extremely rude person that's got no respect for other people. So I made sure that I showed him and told him exactly how I felt. And, no disrespect to anyone who doesn't drive, but if you're catching buses and you're a 40-year-old man and you're still living at your mum's.
And telling people your opinion on someone else that you have nothing to do with.
Seriously have a look at your life. I would rather go to prison for as long as I did, come out and achieve all I'm achieving. I've not even got started on my achievements yet. Like, I'm literally at like number one, zone one. I'm going to progress so far. And I want these people to know that are casting judgment on people like me, that you're going nowhere. So keep casting judgment. Keep telling me that I won't, because you're the reason that I'm doing it. So it's a massive drive. I love it.
Yeah, good. That's like, those literally are movie moments when that, like, the villain comes face to face with his enemy, and it's like,
they're not even enemies. They're not any relevance to my life. But someone said to me recently in the last 6 months, that they'd heard someone say something bad to me, about me. Sorry. What, Lewis? Like, through whatever comment they threw. And when he told me about it, I said, can you please tell them that I said thank you? Thank you for everything that you're saying, because you're the reason that I'm doing it. So I like the fact that some people are negative, because it shows who they are as a person. You've got to have an open mind. So someone like myself, turning my life around, doing everything that I'm doing, I'm not even mentioning some of the stuff that I'm doing right now, changing like certain people's lives and perceptions on their own behaviour, like young people and stuff like that. I'm doing more for making mistakes than some people are for never making a mistake at all. What are they putting into society? Drinking. Do you know? So they might be paying their tax or drinking. Wow. Pat on the back. So you've got to make an impact and an effect. And all right, I did something that was, unforgivable or should never have happened. Should never happen to another person. So, I held my hands up. I took the sentence. I went guilty. And I'm now achieving great things because I want to achieve great things. I could easily listen to probation, get some shit job at a factory, work there, get given a housing accommodation where I've got to share it with 4 others. I could easily slot into that lifestyle, and everyone turning around going, yeah, but you've been to prison, so you can't have a job. So, I've heard it all, and I don't need to hear those conversations anymore. I'm above that, so...
Yeah, well and truly above that, 100%.
Yeah.
Tell us about the people you've been helping out, because I had no clue.
Yeah, so as safeguarding around it, I won't mention locations and stuff, but I'm in schools. I've been approached by one school in particular where we are going in on Fridays in the behaviour unit and kind of like a behaviour mentor and awareness role, doing talks and trying to find out what these kids want to become. you know, you mentioned earlier about academics, you know, shoved down their throats, and like not a lot of them get an opportunity to realise that they might be great at something else. So I'm hoping over the next year or two that I can really help bring something into schools that's new, fresh, that kids can actually get into and look forward to doing, alongside doing their academic studies, alongside doing their GCSEs. But some of these kids are going to go on to be great videographers, graphic designers, but you don't need to do all the boring stuff, because you can be creative without having to feel like you have to be sat in a classroom. So kind of like bring some dynamic learning, you know, new sort of way of teaching or something like that. That'd be great. So I'm working alongside someone who knows me very well, has known me since my school days, and we're trying to throw something together that can sort of go down as a sort of like a blueprint structure on how to deliver these sessions to kids. So
yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So have you gone to schools yet?
Yeah. I'm in a school at the moment. We've had a break from Easter and something happening in the other person's personal life. So, but we're back in. We're meeting up this week, so we're back in, and yeah, it's great.
Nice. Have you seen any sort of positive change in the kids?
Not yet.
I suppose it's sort of you're
early
learning
stages.
them, aren't you, first, aren't you?
You know, you've got to have these meetings about safeguarding. You've got to have the background meetings, making sure that the way that I present myself on campus is correct, making sure that I'm aware that how, you know, you're around children at the end of the day, anything can happen. So we're doing all that side of thing. I want to learn as much as possible. I want to be as experienced and qualified as possible, but I also know that these schools have approached me, so they need me as well. So what I've experienced and everything that I've been through is invaluable to these young kids. So let's work together, meet in the middle, you know, and then let's change young people's mindsets, especially the ones that are, you know, on the cusp of being expelled or going to prison eventually. So
that's amazing, mate. Does that bring you like a fulfillment that you can't really get from anything else?
I've wanted to do it for a long time. I did it while I was in prison. I did talks, and kids used to come into the prison. I was one of the Chance to Change reps and violence awareness mentors for 2 or 3 prisons that I was in. So I've done work with the criminology students in universities as well. See, I love that side of things. I was a suicide intervention training as well. I was a mentor for that for one prison for a long time. Trained Samaritan. So I've tried to do everything that I could to build up a base of skills on how to talk to people, how to present myself. You know, you get many walks of life. So if you're faced with a conversation that you don't know how to handle, puts you in an awkward position. So I feel like I could handle most you know, conversations or problems that people can present.
Yeah, sure. Would you see yourself having a role in education after Strongman?
Like a dynamic education and a fresh opportunity for children to exceed, funding, stuff like that. You know, it costs money, a lot of it. So, you know, I know they do like these naughty kids can go on a minibus and go off somewhere and do some wall climbing or, you know, abseiling, you know, like those sort of fun days out. It's not about that.
Yeah.
It's about getting them involved in music, sport, whatever it is, art, whatever it can be. You know, find a spark, let it ignite, turns into a fire.
That's one thing that I've always questioned about those sort of like the bus trip you mentioned. Is that like, in my mind that's just to get the kids out of everyone's hair rather than actually helping them?
Absolutely. Get them away from it. Give them something to look forward to at the end of the week. It sort of shuts them up for a few days, and then, oh wow, we're going to wherever. But then it gives the other kids that aren't going against the grain, as it's called. I don't call it misbehaving. I call it they're trying to work themselves out. Yeah,
that's exactly it.
They've got no identity. That's why they act out. That's why they copy music. That's why they copy films. They dress a certain way. They talk a certain way. It's funny that, you know, certain people, again, I'm not going to say any names, that talk different because they're easily impressionable.
Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah.
So they're like, they'll be around London people before you know it. They're speaking like a London person, but they've never been to London in their life.
I even find myself doing it. If I spend enough time around with someone, I end up noticing
You're picking it
slight
up.
mannerisms that I pick up from them.
People go to Australia for a few years and come back with an accent.
Yeah.
So you see that a lot in prison, and you see it a lot in kids. And I was like it when I was a kid. When I'm speaking, people are like, "Oh wow, I'd never think you've been in prison that long." And I've actually had people say, "You don't talk like you've been to prison." I'm like, "Well, how do you want me to talk?"
Yeah, that's
I'm educated.
Yeah.
I read books. I learn how to speak properly. What's the point of me talking like a roadman? What's that going to do for any future sponsorship meetings or contract meetings or anything in life? Or, you know, you can't speak to people because people will cast judgment on you straight away.
You have got a good impression though. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I have. I can't do it.
You had stopped doing it before the cameras turned on.
I'm not doing my... That's another video, that one.
Okay. That's for round 2.
World's Strongest Barber goes roadman.
Yeah, there you go. When did you think of the name World's Strongest Barber? Was it when you started Strongman, or you just...
No, it was a shoot with Official Strongman were doing a video shoot for Aaron, and they did like a little intro, and they said, "What's your name?" And the camera came in, and I was like, "Lewis Packham." And they were like, he was like, "Whoa, cut."
Oh, okay.
He's like, "You got like a middle name?" Or I'm like, "Nah, like it's just Lewis." And he's like, and we had like a bit of a joke, and he was like, "What do you do?" I'm like, "I'm a barber." He's like, "What about the world's strongest barber?" And I was like, "Yeah, but I'm not the world's strongest barber." He's like, "That's the point.
Yeah.
You will be." I truly believe I'm the strongest barber in the world. So
You've definitely got an argument for it now. Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, that's how it came about.
Lovely. Is I know it's probably like a fresh topic as of recent, but Aaron, was he a key influence into you becoming to the person you are now?
Yeah, so being around the Rage page, watching him lift, watching him get psyched up for his lifts. When he was on it, he was on it. He was an animal, static monster, and definitely at the time, still to this day, actually, one of the strongest human beings I've ever been in front of. So massive influence, goosebumps, even thinking about him. So huge, showed me the capacity of a human being, capacity of strength training. Going to watch him at Giants Live, Aaron the Rage page and all the flames and the crowd, like that's moments that you don't forget. They sit with you. So yeah, massively.
My condolences definitely go out to the family on that one.
Yeah.
When he passed, I was hearing his name mentioned where I work, and I had no idea that anyone even had any affiliation with anything to do with Strongman or anything. People were so unassuming.
Yeah.
I'd just hear it in the office.
Yeah, he touched a lot of people, touched a lot of hearts.
Yeah.
He was a big character, massive character. So, yeah, so a sad loss. So, especially to the sport as well. So, he just had his call up to World's Strongest Man as well, which is what he always dreamed of. So,
that's why you've got to take it full steam ahead, mate. Finish what you started.
Yeah, take the reins.
Yeah.
He always said to me, I've actually still got voice notes that he always said to me that I'd be a UK Strongest Man athlete and I would get to Britain's Strongest Man and stuff. So, you know, it was manifested from a long time ago. He used to talk to me most weeks about it. So he saw the potential, the raw ability. He must have seen something because he wouldn't have put his time and energy into it.
Yeah, sure. I suppose he's had hundreds of athletes walk past him. And he could have picked any one of them.
Exactly.
No, and you've had that happen with 2 people now.
2, yeah.
Fucking hell, mate.
Yeah, nearly 3. So we got training with obviously a very well-known strongman, Adam Bishop. Definitely the most professional, efficient, technical strongman on the planet, I would say. He's truly up there as one of the greatest strongmen to come out of Britain. So yeah, training with him most of the week now, every week, and he doesn't miss a beat. And truly inspirational. Yeah, just one of the best deadlifters that's ever been born. Going to pull 505 kilos in a few weeks' time.
Is he training for that? Is he?
Yeah. So
Really? Is that a world record or is that?
that would be a world record, yeah. So.
Really? Is that on the standard bar on that? Because I remember when the Eddie and Thor thing, it was something about an elephant bar and then a normal bar. And
it would be on a deadlift bar, yeah.
A deadlift bar. Okay.
But yeah, so we're going to Cardiff to watch that, the World Deadlift Championships. But yeah, just being around him, learning from him, he'll laugh at this when I say it, but he doesn't actually like people. He doesn't have people around him. He very much likes to have his own sort of time and space. I believe he hasn't had many training partners, so I feel truly honoured that he's kept me around. So
yeah, you must be doing something right.
Doing something right, yeah. Pushing him. I'm hopefully pushing him to the best that he can be. He's definitely pushing me. Without him even trying to push me, just being around him pushes me to the best athlete that I've ever been. And the future is looking absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing, mate. I mean, you surround yourself with the perfect people.
Surround yourself with great people, you will become a great person. The old cliche saying of surround yourself with 4 or 5 millionaires, you become a millionaire. Surround yourself with 4 or 5 drug dealers, you become a drug dealer. Like, doesn't matter where you want to go, but your social influence, your social circle will determine where you're going to end up.
You'll be the average of those people you spend your time around.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Now, on that note, bro, we're coming to an end. If you can do me one favour.
Yeah.
Speak into that camera there and just give any advice you feel is necessary for someone that is young and is confused and just wants to figure out something for themselves. They want to find a path for themselves.
Okay. Just to young people.
Anyone in life. It applies for anyone. Because they'll still be in the same mindset. They don't know what they want to do.
Okay. So if they're confused, they're lost.
Confused, lost, unhappy, just impart some of the wisdom you've gathered from your journey to them.
Okay. One of the things I would say is if you are struggling to make progress, just take one more step, and all those little steps add up, and you'll be so far away from that point of when you felt like you wanted to give up. It would be unrecognisable. So that's a good one.
That is a good one. Wise words. When's the date of the Strongman comp?
We've got the 3rd of June.
3rd of June.
UK Strongest Man,
and that'll
Channel
be
5.
on Channel 5, so everyone put that in your calendars.
Yeah, so you won't see it then. You'll see it November till Boxing Day for 6 weeks, every Monday night. Yeah, I'm going to tear the shit out of it. So
this guy's going to get a podium.
I can't wait.
I can't wait to watch it. Just from that Britain's one, with the time that you had prepping for it. England, sorry. Yeah. It's just, I'm excited.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be, like I said earlier, it's going to be different. Everything's, even me going part-time at barbering and stuff like that, everything's towards this goal of achieving something great that day or that weekend. So,
no, amazing, mate. And give us your socials if people want to go follow.
World's Strongest Barber.
World's Strongest Barber. YouTube. We'll whack that there.
Instagram. I believe there's a TikTok now. I've got someone doing TikTok for me. So it's not me, so don't message him.
Very nice.
But yeah.
Appreciate your time today, Lewis.
Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure. We'll have you on after UK's.
Yeah.
You can show us your trophy. Lovely.
And I'll sit it right next to me.
Yeah,
right.
Very nice. Brilliant.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, mate. Have a good day, everyone.